outer space. Outer space. Welcome to Not Just Any Book Club. That was my Adam Driver impression.
Oh my
I
god.
think it was pretty good. I think it was pretty good. Yeah.
Was it?
I think so. I've been working on that all week. Um, Hi. We watched Inside Llewyn Davis. A movie by the Coen brothers released in 2014.
Yeah.
I'm Justin, by the way.
Yeah. I'm Pierce. We watched it for specifically this episode of Bookends, the sideshow for Not Just Any Book Club.
Should have prefaced it with that.
Yeah.
We're not great with intros.
But yeah, welcome
But
back.
yeah, we watched it because
Go ahead.
it is Slice of Life Month.
Yep. Slice of Life month. So yep, really feeling that slice of life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing's ever perfect, as in this intro. We're just talking over each other.
All right.
All right, Pierce, we can let you take it away right now.
Okay. All right.
Take it away.
So Inside Llewyn Davis, yes, a movie by the Coen brothers. Also, was it Oscar Isaac's big break? Did he?
Yes, this was the star-making role for him. I can't think of anything else that he's done beforehand that was like very significant.
Right.
So I think this was the big one.
Right.
And I think this is the first time that him and Adam Driver kind of worked together, and they worked on Star Wars together. So, yeah.
True.
Look at that.
But yeah, so Inside Llewyn Davis, starring Oscar Isaac. Also, Justin Timberlake was in this movie. That was kind of nuts. I'm not gonna lie. I saw him. I was like, no way, it's Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, it's really weird how he was in the two greatest movies of the 2010s, and then he just did Trolls for the rest of his life. It's money.
Well, he could still do more movies. But yeah, cast aside, a great Coen brothers film. And yeah, I mean, I could go over plot synopsis and stuff, but I mean, it's slice of life, baby. So it's gonna be just a piece of this guy's life. But
yeah,
just I guess to hit the high notes, Llewyn Davis, he is a folk singer back in the 60s.
61, right before folk really took off.
Right. And he's trying to really break big, right? He wants to do this for a living and actually make money doing it. And he's struggling.
He's really good.
Yep, he is really good, but he's a struggling artist, a starving artist, if you will. And it seems like that's really kind of the long and short of it at first, and then kind of as the movie goes on, you get bits and pieces about how Llewyn Davis used to have a partner and what happened to him, and turns out he died, and this is a huge source of it's a huge source of discomfort and anger, stress, strife for Llewyn, and yeah, I mean that's basically what the movie is about. If you want to hit it with one line, just Llewyn Davis.
A few days in this guy's life.
Right, a few days in this guy's life as he kind of learns to deal with the passing of his I would say friend, partner, something.
It's alluded that there's a little bit there.
Yeah,
we'll get into this.
Yeah.
But I would say there's a little bit of a plot in here. It does open up with probably just a very bold intro, because I've never seen Oscar Isaac sing, and this movie is ride or die on you thinking that that Oscar Isaac is just a really talented singer, and it's just that intro. I'm like, damn, this guy's got a voice. And the song is pretty depressing, and just the lyrics are very profound, and you just know from the color grading, like, this movie's not gonna be very happy. He's singing about suicide and his yearning for it, and, people, are clapping, as they should, as Oscar Isaac singing, and as soon as he gets out, he gets beaten up by a man, and he doesn't really apologize or anything. And this was actually what the film was envisioned on, just the image of a folk artist who gets beaten up for no reason. So this is what kind of starts off the film, and then we cut to Davis waking up in the apartment of his friends. The gore finds, and as he tries to leave, the cat escapes, and he tries to take it out, tries to put it back, but it's like, damn, the cat escapes. Oh no. So then he tries to get it, and then he, goes to the apartment of Jim and Jean, um, where, we kinda get into this vitriolic, relationship with Jean and Davis, where basically that they don't get along. And Jean is kind of, very acerbic, and she's just very witty, and how much she likes to describe her distaste. And I also want to say that that there's someone else in the apartment that's just very nice. I think his name was Troy Nelson. Very, very cordial and very nice and optimistic. Very much a foil to him. So at the end of this conversation, Jean just tells him through a note that she is pregnant and she does not know who the child is belongs to, and but it may be very likely that it is Llewyn Davis's child. They want to get an abortion, but because he does not want anything to do with Llewyn Davis's child, I think one of my favorite lines is like, well, probably can't say the line here, but it's very profane. Whereas like you're like King Midas's idiot brother, everything you touch turns to poop. For a family-friendly podcast.
Um, yeah, and I think this is kind of the first, not the very first thing, but we kind of get the feeling that Llewyn Davis doesn't really have a great relationship with a lot of people in that he seems to take advantage of the people that like him,
Mhm.
and the people that don't like him really don't like him.
Yeah.
And then it also we cut to kind of after this whole scene, we cut to
Little
him
schism.
going with them to the place where they play music, that dive bar or whatever it was called.
The Gaslight Cafe?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And he's there to watch this guy from the army perform, who's
Mhm.
um staying
Yeah.
with these
Also a great
people.
voice.
Yeah,
Everyone has a great voice.
and he's super optimistic, and he's up there smiling and singing and playing the guitar.
Mhm.
And then he invites their mutual friends up onto the stage, and Lewin the whole time is just like completely dogging it. Like he looks pissed like the whole
He's a
time.
bit jealous, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, and this is, a very much, kind of an XP of Peter, Paul and Mary, one of my favorite folk groups of all time, so hearing 500 Miles, I think this is the first time I ever heard that song on this movie. I'm like, "Damn, this is great stuff. I gotta listen to it," and this yeah, as you can tell, I really like this movie. This really introduced me to a lot of great music. Um Anyways, after that great performance, um, he goes to his Llewyn Davis goes to, his sister, right? Oh, also the cat escapes again. You can't forget about that. He appears so ever so often. Alright, so he goes to his sister, instead, the sister gives him the box of belongings, which she tells her just like, "Hey, throw it away," which becomes important later, um, because, she mentions the fact that her father, just, lived his life. But Davis is absolutely disgusted at that because he's like, I want to be an artist. My dad lives a square, and his sister sold out by just being living in a suburb and not doing anything artistic. And this box is just like full of old records, full of just old memorabilia about him. Um, just stuff that shows that like he was a prodigy. So after this, he doesn't want to take the money to go to become a merchant marine. So instead, he goes and records a novelty song. Uh, you know, the one with Jim and Al Cody. Um, and basically, he needs this money. So he kind of doesn't even play music for enjoyment. He's just playing it for profit, and he's playing this novelty song, which I think is the only original song for this movie. I think, um, and it's a fun song, but it's not very artistic. And he kind of slightly just like jabs at the person is like, "Who wrote this?" And I think Justin Timberlake is like, "I wrote it." Oh no, but yeah, he sings it, and I mean, for a novelty song, it's actually pretty good. Um, so basically, he just Davis signs the contract. He agrees to immediate $200 rather than receiving royalties for the rest of his life. And then he tries to make an appointment with the abortion doctor or gynecologist or whoever it is. Um, and but like the doctor refuses, saying, "I already didn't owe you money. I already owed you money because the abortion didn't go through." Because 2 years earlier, he had another child, with a woman who did not wanna stay with him and didn't want him to tell him about it. So, yes. After all that, he I think it's in, where is it? I forgot what it was, somewhere in New Jersey, I believe, or New York, um, which he could visit maybe later on, who knows?
No, it was in like it wasn't in Akron, like
Akron,
Ohio.
yes. Completely different.
Yeah, not New Jersey or New York.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's right next to Hawaii
It
and
it's
California.
um it's I kind of got the I mean you get the point of it being there later, but it's like far enough away that like he can not go, but close
Mhm.
enough that he could if he really wanted to. Like if he
Yes.
wanted to go see it.
Mhm. Okay. So, then he's out on the street, and then he visits the Gorfines, and we don't know the Gorfines' relationship. We just know that, perhaps that, um, one, they own the cat, and I think at the beginning, after he loses the cat, he tells the professor, "Hey, Lewin has the cat, don't worry," and then they mishear it and go, "No, not Lewin is the cat, Lewin has the cat." Maybe important, who knows? But the Gorfines, I like how he has dinner with the Gorfines, um, and they're all very nice and they're all very sweet, and the fact that it's just like they're just very welcoming. I think these are the few times that people have actually shown him warmth, um, and like he's very welcoming, and there are two other people there. I guess it's like this very close neighborhood. Um, so when they sit at dinner, they are asked to perform. Well, Llewyn Davis is asked to perform fairly well, I believe.
Yep.
And he is very reluctant because they were like, "Wow, I just got invited here just to sing," but they do it anyways, and it all goes kind of well, but it quickly takes a downturn as Mrs. Gorfine starts to sing Mike's Harmony, which Davis is absolutely pissed about. Makes her cry, and then the cat that he thought he had back, um, returns because Mrs. Gorfines is freaking out. It's like, "Where? This is the wrong cat. Where is its scrotum?" It's the wrong cat. It's not the cat.
Yeah.
The cat's
Yep.
still out there.
Cat's still lost.
Yeah. So Davis leaves with the cat, and then he goes on a road trip, a bit of a side adventure as he goes with Johnny Five and Roland Turner. These are people that Al Cody was kind of associated with. I don't know if he was going to go with them or something like that, but it was an opportunity that was kind of brought up by Al Cody. Um, and as you can tell, Johnny Five doesn't really say much, and Roland Turner says too much. Again, he just insults him over and over again, and um, really he insults um, the memory of Mike, uh, who again was Llewyn Davis's partner, um, and it's revealed that he jumped off a bridge. And I think Llewyn Davis, he said this just to kind of guilt trip Roland Turner to like being quiet. Said it absolutely backfires, and he just starts making fun of him. And as you know, Llewyn Davis tries to fight back with words. He goes, "I know kung fu. Don't mess with me." I'm like, okay. Um, so they stop at a roadside restaurant, and Roland, uh, as Llewyn Davis is about to use the bathroom, um, they find that Roland's not there, and in fact, he is overdosing in heroin. So as he's driving back, um, I think Llewyn is no, Johnny Five is driving back. They get pulled over, and I guess Johnny is drunk. He starts fighting back at the cop, and Johnny gets arrested by the cop. So now Roland is just out in the car in the middle of nowhere, and then Davis just hitchhikes, which surprisingly works.
Yeah.
Guys, don't hitchhike.
And
Don't hitchhike.
the cat is still there. He's taking the cat with him all this way.
Oh
And
yeah.
as he opens the door to take his stuff, the cat is in the back seat and it looks up at him with like these big cat eyes,
Oh,
and he leaves it.
abandoned it. Oh,
Yep.
yeah. So yeah, and then he hitchhikes all the way to Chicago. And I think this is also brought up, but like he's about to audition for Bud Grossman, who's this musical producer. I
Yep.
think I forgot who he was based off a real person. Um, and he decides to sing him a song, and he puts you can tell that he's putting his heart and soul into it. But with cold eyes, Bud Grossman just looks back at him and says, "I don't see a lot of money here." Um, so ouch. Um, and it just doesn't work. But Grossman is kind of nice. He does recognize some talent there, and he offers him to perhaps join a trio. Become another Peter, Paul, and Mary. But he refuses, and then he suggests to go back with his partner. And unbeknownst to the guy, he has died by suicide. So implying that he might do the same, he says that's a good idea. So ouch. So um he goes back, um, and he tries to hitchhike back to New York, which another, guy comes along driving a car and says, "Hey, you can drive me to wherever." Um, so driving while a car owner sleeps, he sees Akron. He could go there, but he keeps on driving, and as soon as he just, refuses to go, he hits the cat, and it limps back into the woods, as it's happening. You expect the car owner to wake up, but it does not happen. So, whatever. And then he goes back to New York. He uses his last couple. No, wait. Doesn't he visit his dad first? Yeah, he visits his
He
dad for.
I think he visits his dad after because he goes to the guy and he has to pay his dues for
Mhm.
the like sea
Yeah.
men organization. And so he pays his dues, and then the guy looks up his name, and he's like, "Oh, aren't you this guy's kid? And how's he doing?" And I think that's when he goes back to check on him.
Oh, yeah. And he sings him the song. He's very emotionless, and you think there's a bit of emotion after he sings this wonderful, great song, but instead he just goes out. This guy pooped. He pooped. Pooped his pants. So, yeah, after he tries to join the union by using the last of his money, he tries to get his seaman license, but he goes back to his sister's house to get it, and then he
It's his,
realizes that his sister,
it's his pilot's
um,
license.
his balancing license, sorry. Uh, yeah, so after that, he just goes to his sister's house and realizes, wow, you threw out all the stuff, and now Davis wants to go back and get a refund on it, but he can't, or try to replace it. Can't afford the $85, and then he tries to get a refund, and they don't allow that to happen, even though it happened this morning. So he just loses all that money that he made from um, that gig that he had. And then he visits Gene again, who tells him that they got a gig at the Gaslight. Um, so then, at the Gaslight, he learns that the owner, who is just very much of a scumbag, kind of slept with Gene, and that just makes Davis incredibly angry. So
He's also
become
very
very
drunk at
vitriol.
this point.
Yeah, very drunk too.
Yeah.
Trying to deal with all the stress that's happening. And then he gets very just wasted. He starts yelling out at this nice old lady who's just performing. And as this is all happening, he just gets kicked out for his behavior. Um, and oh no, he doesn't get. Does he get kicked out? I don't remember. Gets
Yeah, they kick him out when he
okay.
starts being um
Yeah.
belligerent.
Well, yes. He visits the Gorfines, who very much welcome him again. They're just such nice people. They show no ill. And Davis apologizes for everything, and all is well is done. And Cat's back, and we find out that the cat has lived out this entire thing. Um, and its name is Ulysses. That's his name. That's his name.
Yo,
Yeah, yeah. Oh, we
yo,
also learns
I've
here.
read that book before.
Did you understand the book?
Barely, kind of, maybe.
Perhaps. Maybe you can illuminate on the significance of the cat very soon. Yeah. And he also learns that the novelty song that he wrote became a hit, and because he kind of just poo-pooed away the fact that he could have got royalties, he kind of misses out on making it big there, or at least getting some income. So back then, back at the Gaslight cafe, he sings the same song as he did before. Now with new meaning, because now you really understand why he's singing fairly well. And I think this was his partner song that he was just very reluctant to be singing. So I guess he kind of is starting to accept his memory. Um, and it's a great song. You really do start to feel the fact that he's just very passionate about it. And so after the set is over, the owner starts to tease him a bit for the previous night, and that someone's waiting in the alleyway. And as he's leaving, Bob Dylan is there.
Yeah.
Also plays very well. Yeah. Um, so there's a reason why he's there. Um, so as he's exiting and going into the alleyway, we see the same man beat him up, and we say that it's just his wife. No, that it's the husband of the person who he heckled. And again, as he's being beaten up, he does not apologize for anything. And as the man leaves, Davis watches the man leave in a taxi and says "au revoir," it's goodbye in French, or see you again in French. Goodbye until we meet again in French. So in a way, it kind of loops. It's a bookend.
Hmm. True,
Mm,
true,
yeah,
true, true, true.
yeah. So you can watch this film on loop if you wanted to. And that's the big old in-depth summary about it. I just felt like I just had to. Um, but yeah, it's I just it's not the most dense well, it's not the most complicated movie. It's very episodic. Again, slice of life. You think it's gonna be building into like a giant climax, but it really never does. Because instead of this being a movie about a musician makes it big, and then has a downfall, he doesn't get to the part where he even has the opportunity to make it big, because he's given something like that, but he kind of refuses it. So it's kind of really hard to place a theme on this movie as well. It's just he makes stupid decisions. He's a bit egotistical. He's a bit nasty, but for some reason we're just so drawn to Llewyn Davis because we just know that that there's something in there that just makes us drawn to him and his struggles, and it's just I don't know.
Right. And
Um,
I think I even messaged you at one point and I was like, man, when you start rooting for this guy, even for a second, he just like messes it up. Um
yeah.
I I think it was because I know why. I know that the song choice uh in his audition was there for a reason. I know thematically it makes sense, the lyrically, which
Mhm.
I uh anyways, the point is like I don't know. I feel I feel like he kind of could have chosen a better folk song. The power of folk is like is to connect with common people, and it was about a royal family.
Queen.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
queen. And I understand the actual lyrics. Like I said, the actual lyrics of the song I know have thematic meaning, but nonetheless, it was like
Nonetheless,
I thought as far as his goal of trying to actually be, um, you know, get this producer to help him out, he should have probably gone with a different song.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong there. Um, but yeah. Let's kind of analyze. Well, first we can just say, what we think about the movie. I think I watched this movie almost as soon as it came out. I didn't watch it in theaters, but I watched it like a year after. And again, it's profound impact on my life. Introduced me to Oscar Isaac. For fun, I was watching behind the scenes stuff behind this. Apparently he only played guitar 6 months prior to filming. So if that is gonna motivate you to, start playing guitar or any instrument like me, I'd really need to get on the top of that, I'm sorry. I think that's a good motivator because, like, again, I don't know if it's the way it's edited or something, but, like, he's just very talented. And all the music was performed live, like, they made sure, like, they didn't want to, like, dub it or anything. They made sure that, the songs just felt very authentic. So all that stuff is just very real right there. I'm like, "Wow, that's great." Do you have any thoughts?
Uh yeah, no, I mean it's a great movie. I yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. The performances were all great. Um I love me a um less a movie with less importance and more about the characters and the situations they find themselves in.
Yeah, a character study. Yeah. Yeah, like a character
Or
study.
just a
It's just,
character driven movie in general.
oh, yeah. Yeah, I've never been much of a plot guy either, but, um, yeah. I mean, are you a folk guy? I mean, would you even recommend this movie to people that just do not like folk music?
I think so. I mean, I
Yeah,
feel like it's really hard to I feel like it'd be extremely hard to find someone who just doesn't like any folk music because it is just
that's hard.
yeah, most of the time it's like here's an acoustic guitar and a guy singing and it's just down to like whether or not you like this person's voice.
Is singing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's tough to find someone who just 100% like hates folk music. But yeah, I mean even if you don't listen to much folk music, I would still recommend it. It's more about the character and I
Yeah.
feel like he stands in for starving artists of any kind.
Yeah.
If you
This
want
movie's
to
timeless, I
yeah, if you
guess.
want to
Yeah.
extrapolate it from folk music, you can certainly do that thematically, I would think.
Yeah, I would say so too. But let's try to dig in deeper. I know here's something that I did kinda bring up. I think we did have a bit of a disagreement. I don't really have a firm answer for this, but the cat.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Why does it follow him around?
Yeah. I know I messaged you. You asked me that, and I said that I think that the cat is a stand in for his grief or a symbol for his partner that kind of follows him around.
Hmm,
It is kind of he brings it with him. He makes the choice to bring it with him certain places even though he no longer has to. Like after he finds out that it's not the gosh, the his friend's cat, like he brought the wrong cat back to their apartment.
mhm,
He still brings it with him, which I think also is interesting if the cat is a stand-in for grief because he is
mhm,
grieving those that those two seem to know him and his partner the best of anyone in the movie who knows like both of them,
mhm.
and
Yeah.
he is clearly grieving in a way much different from them, right? And so he brings this cat back to them and they're like, this is not our cat actually. And he
Mhm,
could just put it back on the street, clearly it's a stray, but he brings it with him when he leaves for Chicago. I think also him leaving it in the car when he actually is like almost to Chicago is kind of a symbol of him officially trying to move on, right? Like he's decided no
mhm,
matter what, I'm gonna go get this audition with Bud Grossman and try and make my way as a solo artist. Um, and then on the way back, he it seems that he hits the cat with his car, um, the car that he's driving on the way back, and I that scene's a little. I'm not exactly sure what that scene means, to be honest. It's a little.
Yeah, it's the one
It
standout.
was a little out there. I'm sure it has a meaning, and but I'm still honestly sitting with it and chewing on it, because yeah, I don't know. I guess maybe it's him feeling like he's failing, and he's if I had to frame it in what I said the cat stood for, I would say like he feels like he failed, and he's left behind the memory of his friend and partner in a bad way.
Mm,
He's not just leaving it behind to go out on his own. He's leaving it behind because he's killing his own career and doing something that he doesn't want to do. Um,
okay.
if I had to frame it the way that I've been framing that cat.
Mhm,
And then yeah, and he yeah, I that's what I really think. I think that the cat stands in for grief. The other thing, the evidence that I said to you in the message, which I guess I should say because I do think it's a strong piece here
mhm.
for my interpretation, is the scene where they're driving with Johnny and the guy who
Roland R
overdoses. Yeah,
Turner? Yeah.
Roland Turner. They're driving, and Roland is making fun of him and the cat, right? And
Mhm,
then the conversation gets around to like, oh, I had a partner, and then Roland is like, what was it? The cat? He every time you sang a song, he spit up a hairball or whatever, and he tells him like, oh my, no, it's my partner. He threw himself off a bridge, and Roland immediately goes from making fun of him for carrying the cat around everywhere to making fun of him and his partner for committing suicide.
mhm,
It's a very quick shift from one thing to the other, which makes me feel like it's kind of a stand-in for
mhm.
the grief he feels for his partner, as well as maybe partially the partner himself.
Yeah. Well, what do you think of the fact that at the beginning he was I know the Coens are very meticulous when it comes to this stuff, but when he said, on the phone, Lu no, not Llewyn has the cat, Llewyn no, not Llewyn is the cat, Llewyn has the cat.
Yeah, I think that's a strong piece of evidence, but that could also could also be the Coens being like, yeah, this
Trolls.
cat
Okay,
is, yeah, trolls being like, just not trolling, but just being like, the cat is important, like it's a stand-in for something,
okay.
like for his
So
like for and in my case, right, it could even be like, oh, Lewin is the cat, because the cat is a stand-in for his emotions. It's not a stand-in for him exactly.
okay. So, I mean, you remember me okay, this is an actual, evident of, the Coen brothers trolling because Joel Coen has kind of famously said about this film, "The film doesn't have a really plot." That concerned us at one point, that's why we threw the cat in, which we know that's not really
Yeah, I actually I read that online too. The yeah, we just
Yeah.
threw the cat in. Not important at all. Don't look at the
Yeah.
cat.
Um, I'm thinking that the cat does represent a Llewyn in some capacity because I think that Llewyn sounds like lion, and I think that's also Welsh for lion. Something to chew on there, but mhm, I mean, I think yours does hold a little bit more water. I think there's just it definitely is supposed to parallel Llewyn in some way because he goes on this journey himself, and he goes on this journey, this odyssey, if you will, and I think the Coens even allude to it, when he goes walking down the street and he walks by the theater and has the Incredible Journey, I think that movie was called, shove into your face that, that this cat is very important.
Yeah.
Um, so there's that too. Um, so with that being said, like the cat is supposed to parallel, I think, just Llewyn. Again, how he goes on this journey and returns, kind of the same person? And what do you think? Because they played the intro and the outro almost exactly the same, but the only difference is that Llewyn, in the intro, lets the cat out. In the outro, he's able to keep the cat in. What does that mean?
Um, again, playing by my interpretation, I think it's probably uh he's come to terms with it and he doesn't need to
Mhm,
bring his grief around with him, right? It's like
mhm,
the cat the cat standing in for grief. He kind of brings it around and he puts it on other people, right? It
mhm,
he leaves it at his friend's house and she has to help him take care of it. When he's
mhm,
talking about the abortion in the like hotel cafe thing, he looks
mhm.
out the window and he's like, "Watch my stuff! I gotta go chase after this cat." And it's kind of it coming
Okay,
out makes him put that on other people. And by the end of the movie, he's gotten to the point where he's not bringing that grief out with him, and so that's what
okay,
is kind of the him being able to keep the
yeah,
cat inside is
a
symbolizing.
and
Yeah.
him being able to sing the song as well, that he was ever so reluctant, so, yeah, there's some evidence towards that. Um, so, yeah, that is one thing to, note, and I think that's generally the interpretation. Maybe the Coens are watching this and or listening to this and be like,
The
"Ha, he's got it wrong."
Coens, the
The Coens, they're
Coens, the Coens. They spend their days listening to podcasts about their movies from almost 10 years
yeah,
ago, and they're
yeah,
like,
the
"No, that's wrong." That's.
wrong.
Are you sure?
Are you sure? The both Coens.
They sit in the same room and they just listen to like one podcast after
Yeah.
another about their old movies.
Actually, this is you're wrong because at this scene,
Yep.
the cat
If
actually does
we
this,
if we get a comment on the YouTube video, no matter what it says, it was definitely one of the Coens. I'm sure of
and they say,
it.
"Wahahaha." Yeah. Um, but yeah, I think that's generally their interpretation of it. Some other things I wanted to say. Yeah, Llewyn Davis himself. I think he's a very. I think he ranks among probably the best tragic heroes of like maybe not of any. Maybe yeah, from films I've seen, and especially in the Coen brothers because this is this is very distinct from any Coen brothers film. I don't know if you noticed that, but I definitely did because it basically, it has almost no one that they're associated with except from, like, John Goodman. The cinematographer is different, so that's why this film has this different feel entirely, and I know this movie is classified as a black comedy, but I don't know where the black comedy comes from. I mean, there are funny moments, but it's primarily just a drama, and Llewyn Davis, again, this film hinges on the fact that this guy's really talented, which is very unusual for any Coen Brothers most Coen Brother films. It's because, it's very typical for them just to be incompetent goofballs and
Yeah, I
just
feel
kinda mess up
like
at everything.
just because the most recent Coen Brothers film I've seen was Fargo. Before this, like that was exactly what I was thinking. Like everyone in that is like completely incompetent. Um, Pretty much the only competent person is uh the cop, basically the
Yeah,
lady
the
cop.
moral center.
Yeah, who is also extremely goofy because she's based off of like a Midwestern caricature.
Yeah.
um,
It's
but
surprisingly grounded, yeah.
yeah. Um, oh shoot, what was I going to say about this movie? There was something.
Uh,
Go ahead.
competency, yeah.
No,
Um,
go ahead.
yeah. And again, as typical with the Coen brothers, I think almost every film they have is kinda like a period piece, except from Burn After Reading and probably Fargo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remembered. Yeah, because you said
Yeah.
before you said that this is different from the Coen brothers' typical style, and that was kind of a thought that I had almost immediately. I think the only thing really that you can get that's their style in this movie, or the main thing that showed to me
Mhm.
was the comedy. The jokes felt very Coen brothers, but everything else, the tone leading up to the jokes, the aftermath,
Yeah,
everything else did not feel like any other Coen Brothers movie I've seen.
yeah. It does stand out, and I guess that and No Country for Old Men are the 2 kinda big exceptions,
Yeah.
'Cause I don't recall any jokes in No Country for Old Men. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I I mean, I guess we can kinda run down the characters because I think they all drive interesting contrast or, like, they kinda act as foils to Llewyn Davis. We got Troy Nelson, who's, like, the very happy guy, he's almost an idealist. Um, it's just, like, very nice. And apparently he's gonna be just very marketable because I don't know if they headline him, but he's alone on stage and everything. So he's probably gonna be a lucrative asset to the music industry in a way. He has a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah.
Um,
And he's willing to like obviously Llewyn Davis is willing to share the stage, but only with his partner who is now gone. And so he,
yes, that is true. He's
we
able
kind
to
of
compromise.
yeah, he this um is he in the army? The soldier,
Yeah,
he invites other people on the stage during his performance.
and he's also able to eat cereal very loud.
Yes, that was that was funny. Yeah, the moment where he's like, "Oh, I was trying not to wake anyone," and then he pauses for a second, and then he just slurps the milk out of the bowl, like very loudly.
Does he chew with his mouth open? I don't know, that's a bit
I
pet
don't
peeve of
remember
mine.
that, but it was just I remember mostly the punchline where he's just like, "I was trying to be quiet," and then he like slurps the milk.
Yeah. Um, well, we also have Gene, who's kind of also almost a foil, in a way that, they're both very, vitriolic and foul-mouthed and, very, very mean towards each other. I mean, even though I think there's kind of a bond because they do care for each other in a way, I like to think. Um, but she does want to earn money and settle down, and Llewyn's like, "Nah, that's selling out. I don't wanna do that." Um, and she doesn't wanna accept any responsibility for her own failings. She kinda switches off others, I think. Um, Al Cody, he, self reinvents himself, just often, and he's gonna be adapting to the music industry a lot. And Llewyn does not do that, which, he's kind of a problem. We got Llewyn's sister. I don't think she's given a name, but she's basically just, now living a square life. She's living in a little box, as Pete Seeger would like to put it. So, yeah, she's just existing in a little box. And, he also views that as selling out, and he also views his dad as also selling out, living a square life. Got Roland Turner, who, is apparently a jazz musician that is just genius, and he's very foul-mouthed and just mean, towards everyone, which could be the evolution of Llewyn Davis in a way. You don't know that. So that could be him, as in, like, he's Llewyn Davis, literally, or probably on crack. And now we get to the biggest foil, and I think this is what the entire film kinda hinges on, Bob Dylan at the end. So what do you think Bob Dylan kinda represents at the end here?
Uh, I honestly wasn't sure when I watched it. My inkling was that we are actually like arriving in the era of folk.
Mhm.
Um, but I don't really know what that means for Lewin because it doesn't necessarily mean success, right? You can be playing the most popular music at any time and not find success.
Hmm.
So, I'm not 100% sure what it really
Well
means for our main character.
well, okay. So I think Bob Dylan is supposed to represent, because, like, again, when you think of folk music, you're thinking of basically just 2 people, Bob Dylan, maybe Pete Seeger, but, I mean, that's being generous. It's Bob Dylan.
But
It's
yeah,
Bob Dylan.
99% of people are going to think of Bob Dylan and almost exclusively Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan, yeah.
Yeah.
He's just an icon within himself. Something that kinda Llewyn is not. He doesn't market himself, as anything, and, he doesn't make any compromises, and I know that, Bob Dylan is known for his civil rights songs and all that stuff, but controversially, I forgot what, music festival he played out, but, he would play rock music as well, and he went with an electric guitar, and that was seen as selling out, but we're still talking about Bob Dylan, and, like, m everyone else is, just falls under his shadow because we don't know. Um, yeah, so that's something. Um, so he just, again, self-reinvents himself, something that Llewyn views as, like, selling out, um, and I think even Bob Dylan just says that, I don't wanna do folk anymore, and, again, he goes through many phases in his life. He becomes a born again Christian, making Christian music, which, kinda got critically panned, and then sometimes, he would also smoke a lot. Um, not that Llewyn Davis is seen smoking in the movie, I think, but basically, he becomes a music legend, and through bad luck and timing, Bob Llewyn Davis is not. So he's just kinda doomed in mediocrity, whether that's due to bad luck or his bad personality. He's just doomed in the cycle, again, kinda like bookending the film. It could end positively because maybe, Bob Dylan really popularized folk music, like, for the mainstream audience. I don't know if it was because recordings, because I know that Pete Seeger really brought it to, kind of brought, like, a folk movement, but Bob Dylan, again, synonymous with everything. Um, so I don't know. Um, again, it can end positively. I know this movie kinda ends on a downer, as in, like, he says, "Au revoir," meaning that this is gonna all repeat again. But perhaps not. Maybe it could be a little bit, more on the positive side as folk music gets more popular. Um, also, this was also based on the life of David Von Ronk. He's not as well known, which I'm surprised that people didn't know him, but I listened to a few of his songs on Spotify, and I'll just say, good stuff. Good stuff right there. I just I just love his music. So thank you, Coen Brothers. I think the Coen Brothers just have spectacular soundtracks in general. It's just great stuff. Um, the soundtrack to this movie, it's super. I think "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou," which is considered a precursor to the soundtrack to this movie, is also just A1. I think that introduced me to bluegrass music. So, yeah.
I think at the end of this movie, paired with his the au revoir, um, I think by the end of this movie, regardless of what happens, Llewyn has kind of, to me, seemed to accept kind of his lot in life, and he's just going to try and
Mhm.
do what makes him the most happy, which is
Okay.
like making music. Like he
Yeah.
seems a lot more like happy go lucky in that final sequence right before he stops the cat from running out, if I remember
Mhm.
correctly.
Yeah.
Doesn't he like whistle
Uh,
or something? Like I'm just trying to
I
remember.
don't recall that, but I think he's definitely seems to again,
He seems
seems the cat in,
a little more chipper and a little more aware, if I'm
compared.
remembering
Yeah.
correctly, compared to the
Not
beginning
exactly.
of the film.
Yeah, yeah. Which yeah. I don't know what offsets him to be happier, but I mean, if it works for him, good for him. Yeah. I don't think there's one
Probably in
moment. Yeah.
part getting over
The
not
cat.
getting over the death of his partner, but um yeah, starting to move on.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I don't have anything more to say about this movie, I think. I mean, I think I've talked the most. My throat is like, oh, but like, man, I could talk about this movie for a very long time because again, I think this is if I had to make a movie, it would probably be like this. Um, no other film. I mean, no other film
If
has
you
spoken to my personality as much as kind of this film.
if
I
you
don't know.
had to make a movie, if someone pointed a gun at your head and
Everyone's
was
like, all
like,
right,
"Make a movie
make a movie.
right
It would be a
now."
lot like this. Yeah, yeah. It would just actually just kind of be like this. I don't know. This movie just does stuff for me. I know people kind of like chide on me. Not people. My imaginary audience goes like, "Oh, you only like old foreign language art house movies," but I'm like, I like this movie. I think it's great, and it's not that old.
It's only 10 years old,
Only
actually,
10 years old,
and it's in
actually.
English, and
It's a bad art house.
um,
The
yeah,
Coen
no,
brothers in the comments like, yeah.
it's a great movie. And yeah, I think that it has enough depth for you to really chew on it while also being,
Mhm.
you know, as simple as a slice of life movie tends to be. There's still
Yeah,
plenty beneath that to kind of look at and chew on. Um,
yeah.
and
Calling
I
this a
think
s yeah,
that's a credit to the directors and the writers and everyone in that room.
yeah. Yeah, calling this a slice of life movie is almost a spoiler in a way because I'm like, I thought he was gonna make it big because like he deserves that, but no, he just looked at him
Yeah.
with the cold eyes and said, "There's no money here."
Yep.
Darn. But I think this is like an ode to the mediocre artist in us all
Well, not
trying.
necessarily mediocre, but starving artist, certainly.
There you go, or
Struggling
unrecognized
artist.
talent. Like this
Unrecognized
podcast will
talent.
make it big.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Or
Yep. Yep.
unrecognized podcasters. There you go.
We should play one of our podcast episodes for Bud Grossman so he can tell us that there's no money here.
And then the audience will root for us, go like, no.
Yeah, and that's how we'll get viewers
Yeah. Viewers, you say. Wow.
slash
It's almost like,
listeners. Yeah.
well, it's interesting to say viewers because hey, podcast listeners, we're now trying to experiment with uploading these podcast episodes to YouTube. I know, long overdue. We've had cameras on this entire time. We just never hit record on the cameras.
Yep. So you can find us at not just any book club on any podcasting platform as well as YouTube now.
Yeah.
You can also find us on Twitter and X
So watch it.
and TikTok at not just any pod. Where I promise we will be uploading on TikTok more often soon enough.
Yeah.
I've just been extremely busy, but it will
Welcome to my
happen.
world.
It
It
will
will happen.
happen.
We'll probably won't be book related. It'll just be us like, oops, we did something.
Oops,
Just
forgot to
random
upload just like 5-second clips of oops, I forgot to upload like once a
over and over
week.
again. Now there's a lot of money there.
Yep. So yeah, you can find
Yeah.
us on those social media platforms and then those podcasting platforms as well as YouTube. And yeah,
I
join us next
slice
week
of life.
for
Yeah.
Slice of Life books.
Yeah.
Um
Also we are currently trying to upload everything. So I think we just said that. Wow. It's
yeah,
almost like
I
we're going on loop.
I think where you were going with that was that a lot of our favorite
Old
episodes are
episodes.
being re-uploaded to YouTube. So if you ever get the inkling that you want to re-listen to, say like
Help us out here.
a Kafka episode or something else, why don't you check if it's on YouTube and uh,
Yeah.
and give it a listen there. See if you like that format better, because our episodes going forward will all be uploaded there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. We will be referencing some content that does not exist anymore, but just ignore that just in those episodes. But yeah,
Yep.
we'll make outdated references. We're still cool, like folk.
We make outdated references now,
'Cause-
like
Yeah,
while we're
yeah,
currently recording it.
like goodbye Prometheus.
Yep.